Alright, this is a walkthrough for setting up and adding games to Continuum-Launcher. So there are 5 files in the GitHub release. The one that we want is beta 2 release Win64. So now I'm going to open that up and extract it. And now here we have Continuum-Launcher. The first thing we want to do before we launch is put applications into this apps folder. You'll see 3 folders here: Xenia, Dump, and Canary. In Xenia, we put Xenia executable, Canary, the Canary executable, and in Dump, the Xenia VFS dump tool. That is required for DLC and title update installation, but otherwise it's not needed. So here I have all of these executables just sitting here. So I'm just going to copy those in. That should have, yes. All right, once those are in there, we can go ahead and launch Continuum-Launcher. So initially, it's going to not have any games in it. So first we have to add a game. So by right-clicking, we'll open the menu. Alternatively, you can also use the escape key, the backspace key, the B button on an Xbox controller, or the back button. So let's click Add Game, and there's 2 main options here. There's a manual import, and there's an import from STFS. Import from STFS will work if the file is an original unmodified file straight from an Xbox 360. Otherwise, manual import will be necessary for like extracted games. You would just select the game's XCX executable exactly as if you were going to open it with Xenia itself. So we're going to import from STFS here, and it's going to ask us for the file path. So I'm going to go back to our folder here. So it's imperative that content that you load into Continuum keeps its original file structure from the 360. As otherwise, it won't be able to recognize any of the other content types. I mean, you can go without it, but it won't be able to figure out what data is what. Normally, all of these folders have their title IDs there, but I renamed them to the game names. That is a safe thing to do. But like we go back in here, subfolders are 360 content IDs. That is required. That tells Continuum what kind of content each thing is, which you could pull from STFS data, but at least right now it pulls it from these folder headers, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to tell if subdirectories actually belong to the game, in case the folder structure has been changed. Anyways, Forza Motorsport 3 is a disk game, so it's going to be inside this 4000 folder. And there's 2 STFS files here. The lower one I know is disk 1. So, we're going to right click and we're going to copy as path. We go back to Continuum-Launcher and we Control V that in. It will automatically get rid of the quotation marks. And then we can hit done, or alternatively, the Control-Enter shortcuts. And it's going to pull the title ID, and although it doesn't show it here, the game's icon straight from that file. If we hit cancel here, it stops importing the game. But if we hit OK, it imports the game and adds it to Continuum's database. And now we're here in a Manage menu. From here, we can edit anything about the game, pretty much. So launch settings just has a bunch of settings for Xenia that will be specifically applied for this one game. License mask is here, mount cache is here, and that's necessary for the Forza games. CPU readback, resolution, so on and so forth. The only option here that isn't useful is this prefer carry option. This is a decremented feature, or not decremented, what's the word? The word is escaping me, but it's a cut feature. It was in there before, but I cut it in this update because it just didn't fit properly. I just haven't removed the UI element. So it does nothing right now. Game info is a bunch of stuff for Continuum. So the name's already in here. The title ID is already up here in here. Title ID is required in order for Continuum to actually know what save data goes to what game, which is why an STFS import is so helpful. In addition, there's this mod for developer here. Isn't required, but it is nice. Hitting on the keyboard, you can just use the actual keyboard to type. Or you can use the mouse to select it if you really wanted to, or you could also use the controller to select it here. Publisher, Microsoft Game Studios. Release dates. This menu, or this window, isn't exactly done the best. The release date should have its own standalone window that will be updated soon. 2009-10-23, I believe, is Forza 3's day. Min players. This is another superfluous thing, just for grins and giggles. So the game file path is already here, and Continuum also pulled the icon from the game's data and saved it at a local path. So like if we went back here, this the icon data folder here, we'll see the Forza 3 icon there. So it'll save it to this icon data folder. So the only file path that needs to be put in is the cover art. So I also happen to have some cover arts here, one of which is for Forza 3. FM3. Once again, copy as path. And then here, there's already something in the text box, so we could use backspace to get rid of it, or control backspace will get rid of everything currently in the text box. So now that that's control feed in, we have categories. Now, these serve to organize games in the launcher. So by default, it'll show you all of the games, but you can create categories that only some games are in. If you have a larger number of games, this is a very useful feature to have. So just for this, I'm going to create a new category only on Xbox 360. We only have one game, so it's not going to have much of an effect right now, but we can also rename and delete categories. And if a game wasn't in a category, we could add it to it, but Forza 3 is in both of those. It's also worth noting that if you remove a category's only game, or if you move a game from a category that only has that one game, it will delete the category. And then finally, we have executables. For any game, you can add executables to it. This could be another STFS file. This could be an extracted XEX file. So in this case, I'm going to click Add New XEX. First, we're going to want to do the name. So I'm going to put disk2 here. Even though Xenia can't actually really do anything with Forza 3's second disk, I'm going to put it here as an example. Next, we have to put in the file path. So I'm going to go back here and grab this second disk, copy as path, Control V. And now disk 2 is there. And I'm also going to add the Forza 3 demo because I have that. Forza Motorsport 3 demos are in this 80,000 folder. Alright, copy as path. Same as before, we can rename, change path, and delete. So now, exiting a menu, if it doesn't have a button to do it, you can use the same button that you used to get to the menu. So right-click in this case. So now we'll notice that Forza Motorsport 3 is here, but we still have these blank games. Now, well, actually, it's just one game. We don't want this here. So let's go to Manage Game, which will open up the same menu as before, but for this blank game, I'm going to go to Manage Executables. And while you can't change the name of the main executable, you can delete it. And deleting the executable will delete the entire game. So now we're just here with only Forza 3, as it always should have been. Anyways, so now here we are with Forza 3. If we launch this with Canary, it'll pop up with the executables. We can't scroll here because there's 3 buttons before options. There is no limit on how many executables there can be. Just like if we launch Forza Motorsport 3. Sorry. There it goes with Forza Motorsport 3. It'll bring up a compatibility menu, asking how compatible it was. I didn't actually play it, so I'm going to leave it as untested. And then if I launch like the Forza 3 demo, and there's the Forza 3 demo. Oops. Anyways, untested unknown. Executables use the parent game's settings, and there's no way of changing that currently. But if you really need an executable to have different settings, I suppose you could just make it a separate game. So, next we have launcher options. So there's volume here, there's UI themes, there's 6 of them. This green one is a nice looking one, at least in my opinion. And then this purple one, based off the Kinect's purple cases, I think is actually my personal favorite, but I'll put it back to the default. This show compat prompt option it controls when the compatibility prompt pops up. Sorry again. The untested only, which is the default, makes the prompt only appear on games that are marked as untested. All games makes it appear for all games. Never show makes it never show. It's worth noting that you can't click on these to bring up the compat prompt thing. So next we have graphics settings. Resolution is pretty self-explanatory. Full screen has issues, but kind of works. Xenia settings. These are global Xenia settings, so they'll apply to all games. We have start in full screen, which controls if Xenia starts in full screen. This consolidates saves options, which is not actually a Xenia setting, but it tells Continuum whether or not to consolidate all the saves into its local directory. I highly recommend that you keep this on, as it is required for some features. And then, before I go into the manage data window, I'm going to add another game. I'm going to add Halo 3. Oh wait, no, this is the file path. So, Halo 3. $4,000. I'm going to copy this as path. Copy that in. Oh. It quickly gets it as Halo 3 with the proper title ID. Launch settings here. Nothing needs to be changed for Halo 3. Game info. Bungie. Publisher. Microsoft. Microsoft Game Studios. 2007. 925. I know that one for sure. File paths, cover art. 3. Copy as path. Categories. For now, I'm going to leave this out of only Xbox 360 just to show how the categories work. And I could add Halo 3 Mythic, the bonus disc that came with Halo 3 ODST, as another executable, but I'm not going to. So now, Halo 3 is in here. And once you get up to 5 games, it will be 5 unique games here. It just repeats games when there's less. So, if we click on Halo 3, it goes to Halo 3. We can change any of this, so I wanted to, for whatever reason, change Halo 3's name to Best Game Ever LOL, or something like that. I could do that. And now Halo 3 is in there as best game ever. So all games here, if we click on that, that'll change the category. And Forza Motorsport 3 is the only game in this category, so it's the only game here. The same thing can be done by pressing right control or left control, which will cycle through left or right, or the bumpers on the controller, LB and RB. The sort here will sort the games differently. There's 5 sorts. Clicking on it will change the sorts. Right shift will change the sort, as well as the Y button on the controller. I have not tested PlayStation controllers. I don't know if they work, but if they do work, then it would be whatever the Y button equivalent is. I think it's triangle. I don't know. So now I'm going to go into this manage data folder or window. Well, I triggered a bug. So there's a current bug where if you change the name, you won't be able to go into the manage data folder until you restart. So the current fix for this is either just restarting or not going into the manage data game folder after you change the name. I was going to change it back to Halo 3. Manage data. Like if I click on Halo 3, that is not Halo 3. Why is this crashing and burning right now? There we go. I did not realize sorts affect that. This is a beta. It's like that Simpsons meme, just going back into the bush. Anyways, like Homer Simpson falling back in the bush. So here we can see that Continuum's found like the Vidoc videos that I have. It's found DLC, and it even found the 2 Xbox 360 themes that I have alongside it. And then we go to Forza Motorsport 3. The same thing will be here. One thing here is that whenever you launch a game and the Consolidate Saves option is on, it does create a copy of Xenia or Xenia Canary. You can always delete it in this Manage Game window. So if I go back, it's gone now. The Manage Game window, or Manage Data window, sorry, is definitely the most beta-esque thing in Continuum right now, because of how complicated it is. There's a lot of bugs and kinks to work out, as evidenced. We can see here, it also gives us a summary of different types of data. So now, I'm going to real quick go into Halo 3 here, and show that this is in fact stock Halo 3 in all its glory. So we go into custom games here. This is stock Halo 3. So if I back out, what second controller do I have? Whatever. So if I go into Manage Data, go back to Halo 3. Let's do the Mythic 2 map pack. So if I click on that, it'll ask if we want to import that DLC. If I click yes, this is what the dump tool was needed for. It has now dumped that into its directory. So now if I go back in, you'll also notice that the file size increased on the right, and there's now a new option here called Install DLC, which we can click that again and remove the contents. But now I'm also going to install the other Mythic map pack. Deleted. I guess it thought I clicked on something else. It didn't delete anything. It won't delete any game data, or like anything that isn't data that Continuum itself makes. It cannot delete. I always check for that. So now, if I go back into it, it should. I must have deleted the Mythic 2 map pack out of it. There we go. So, little buggy, but now we have installed DLC there. And if we go back into Halo 3, custom games, map, the Mythic, all 6 of the Mythic and Mythic 2 maps are here. And, oh, there we go. I know Xenia doesn't really like the Halo games. Bungie's Blam engine. Anyways, now if we go back to Manage Data, Halo 3, and then we delete installed DLC, refresh it, let's notice that 12 gigabytes was reduced to 11.4, and the DLC is not listed in here anymore as being installed. So we click on that, launch it again. It'll work the same with title updates as well. You can install and delete title updates into Xenia. And it's also worth noting that Consolidate Saves must be enabled in order for DLC and title update installation to work. And obviously you need the dump tool. If you don't have the dump tool, it'll give you a message saying that it can't do it because the dump tool is not present. So we go back into custom games. The Mythic map packs are gone again. Another couple quick things. If we click on the time here, we can change it between 12-hour and 24-hour formats. Dates here, we can switch that as well. And yeah, that is about it. Just to show that you can, in fact, change a game's name, I'm going to change the name. Best game ever, lol. And then I'm going to exit the launcher and launch it again. That is now best game ever, lol, and we should be able to go into manage data. There we go. That is not Forza Motorsport 3. So a few issues that still need to get worked out with the manage data section. If you find any new ones, feel free to contact me or open a GitHub issue about it. I will definitely look into any issues that are brought up. That is Continuum-Launcher. If you have any feedback or comments or questions, I am available at the public Discord or at the Xenia Discord server, or again through GitHub and GitHub issues. And yeah, I hope you enjoy Continuum.